applied by these two.
Well, there is, and particularly while Bim Sharkey is out there, I think we'll see that continue because they've just been keeping pace. I wouldn't actually mind seeing the worm again at some point if we're able to bring that up at the end of the over, perhaps. It'd be interesting to look where it sits now. Oh.
Beats the outside edge. That's where Dipender Singh is a bit of weakness. A little bit of extra lift. There's not many batters that are stronger. That's very well bowled by Jones on debut. Bidut Lamachani says, great commentary from your co-commentator on your fielding too.
Told ya. Told ya. I was relishing that bit.
Too right. Loving some of the messages coming in. Yobaraj Sadai watching on. He says, was supposed to work this weekend. I begged my friend to cover for me. I woke at 5 a.m. I cancelled my daughter's swimming class just to watch the game. As the pull shot comes out no time. He's watching from Bowling Green in Kentucky.
Wow. Oh, that's a famous historic site in Kentucky.
Sixth Dimension asking, why do we think the middle orders are, or the top orders collapsed, and who do we think of the middle order will anchor this innings? I'm watching from San Francisco, California, 7:57 a.m. I'm loving my morning tea with some Nepali cricket, the stuff of dreams. This is pulled, and has this been put down? Going to get another look at this. I think it is dropped. He's absolutely clothed it, gets there and juggles it and puts down the simplest of chances. Remarkable.
Well, it certainly is when you consider it's Brandon McMullen, who is generally an outstanding fielder, and that is the second drop for Scotland today. They dropped 5 catches in their last game.
Yeah, against the Netherlands.
Yeah.
It was remarkable, wasn't it? 5 catches. Today, the one they put down didn't cost them much. George Munsey dropped Kushal Pertel, didn't he, off the bowling of Mackenzie Jones. But here, Brandon, it was so innocuous, wasn't it? I thought at first it might have been. We just have to apologise again. It's so bright here, we don't really have a monitor that we can see when the ball's being bowled. I thought it might have been pumped into the surface because there wasn't much of a reaction. But Dipender Singh on 7. Well, it's the simplest of catches, and it's gone down.
And you have to feel a bit for Mackenzie Jones as well. On debut, when he's created a couple of chances. Both times the ball going down. Can he create another, though?
And that's going to be out. It is the pace and bounce, and McMullen says, that's how I catch it. They don't have Dipender Singh, but they do have Bim Sharkey.
Already 8 from the over.
Through this game. Bit of naivety there, I think, from both Irie and Sharkey, trying to pull or to hook against the angle. Against the bounce, rather than looking to cut. If you get inside that and try to cut it with the wind, get it up and over, you're going to get 4 or 6 easily. But it was just all too easy.
Well, and this is why Richie Berrington has brought Mackenzie Jones on from the pavilion end as well, because he's bowling short, which means if they are trying to pull the ball, they're pulling directly into the wind and to the longest part of the ground. So there is some method to Richie Berrington's captaincy, even if my colleague doesn't always necessarily agree with it. But it's exactly why you said he should get Mackenzie Jones on to bowl, for the same reasons that has ended up being successful for Jones. What's worked out from him is we see The Brains Trust, Richie Berrington having a word with Charlie Castle now. Time for him to come back in, so they'll save a few Mark Watt overs. It's pretty tidy in his first spell. Just went for 4 and over. But Gulshan Jar, this could be really interesting.
Yeah, it brings it in the left-hand, right-hand combination too, doesn't it? So if Nepal can play it well, they can have someone hitting to the shorter side with the wind from both ends of the ground now. Ja really only plays one way, plays very aggressively, very attackingly. He's a dynamic ball striker, isn't he? And this game isn't over yet. Scotland, big favourites. Nepal are basically halfway there. They've lost half their batters, only have 18 overs left. It's a huge task, but they have the firepower still. And with shots like that, there's going to be a game on. Irie gets to double figures with the most perfect cover drive. Not just raw power he possesses, a little bit of class too.
And although Brandon McMullen did take that last catch, I just wonder how costly that drop of Irie might be when it comes to the latter stages of this. That's a marvellous stroke.
Well, I think what Nepal will be hoping is that it's similar to the Michael Leask drop. Leask was dropped on 14, went on to make 96. And Irie's nothing to lose now, does he? He may as well go after everything. He wants the second. Gulshan Jar says, I've barely finished my first, please go back. As Charlie Tier does the fielding. Yeah, just a really good message here from a fan watching on. You were asking about the run worm. We'll look at it after this. Over here at 29.3, Scotland were 150 for 4 after 29.3 in the second innings. Nepal were 151 for 4, so they were 1 run ahead actually. They've lost their 5th now, which is going to affect things. But it shows that the game is still neck and neck. 120 Scotland plundered off the last 10. It should be a couple, you'd imagine. Can Gulshan Jar get back? He wants to, and will. Really well judged running for the second.
Just the throw coming in on the bounce. And just not quite getting over the stumps. There we are. Always nice to have a little cameo in the background. Get a good view of the fielding from here.
Great diving stop from McMullen. Keen to make amends for that dropped catch.
He's generally so dynamic in the field. That's why it was a bit unusual to see. Look at that. Fantastic work from Brandon McMullen.
Beats the outside edge, like that angle. You'll remember, for those who watched that Oman game where Castle took 7 for, he did really well around the wicket to the left-handers. Get a look here at the worm that you're looking for, Mel. Nepal are still in this game, but you're just starting to maybe find it more difficult because of that 120 that was smashed off the last 10.
Yeah, that's... Oh, the worm just moved. It just grew another little tendril, extended further, but right on the money. But yeah, always look at the end of the worm where it tapers up. So very possible for them to do something similar, but pressure will mount, especially if any more wickets fall. I think we might find out quite a bit in perhaps this next 5-over period, because with Irie and with Gulshan Jar out in the middle, they could have 2 or 3 really big overs. And Mackenzie Jones, he's on debut. Ideally, that's who you'd be going after. Go after the young kid. He's only 20 years of age. But I think Richie Berrington has thought pretty much about where he's bringing him in from. The thing is now that he's bowling from the pavilion end, the leg side is the good side for the batter. With the wind, short side. So the tactic that worked in getting the last wicket when he had the right-hander on the crease, he was bowling short, they were trying to pull him, and that ended up getting a chance and then a wicket. If he's got to change it up now that he's got Gulshan Shah on strike as the left-hander.
Hasn't looked out of place at all as he picked up 2 wickets. Could have been 3 or 4. It's caused plenty of problems. Berrington fields. I think even with the direct hit, Jah might have got home. Think about the overthrow, but it's not a long way out there.
But this is just really good because he's basically has got to have 2 different plans for the left and right handers, bearing in mind sort of where that short boundary is. So he's bowled fuller on that occasion, and he probably has to keep it fuller and outside the off stump for Gulshan Shah when he's there. Now, do we see him go short again? No, he goes full. Bowls it well, right at the toes. It's a well-aimed Yorker. So yeah, this is a really good test for Mackenzie Jones very early in his career. The fact that he's taken 2 wickets and created 2 more chances as well, that will really please Doug Watson, Richie Berrington, because what they've needed is a wicket taker without some of their noted wicket takers in the squad.
Fans are trying to rouse Nepal, but it's not quite happening at the moment. Bowled really well, Mackenzie Jones. Lots to be pleased with for Scotland. And great to see that another piece of young Scottish talent is going to shine here. Love to see Ollie Davidson get his go as well. I've been hearing nothing but good things about him from the Scottish club scene. There probably isn't the space for another spin bowling option in these conditions, is there, with Mark Watts and Michael Leask being about. He's capable with the bat though too. This one's cut away. Good diving stop from Leask. End of the 34th, 173 for 5 now.
That's an excellent over from Mackenzie Jones as well. Just 3 singles coming from it. He's got the left and right hand combination at the moment. Times there have been some overs where he's been a little bit loose, but then he's come back and bowled an over like that, and he's taken 2 wickets, more than any other bowler. As you can see, Brandon McMullen and Michael Leask with 1 apiece. How much of an issue is that for Scotland at the moment? Do you think, Lenny, just the lack of penetration in the bowling attack?
Well, they're finding a way to uncover a new bit of talent, aren't they? Charlie Castle's been pretty effective today, but no real threat. Safin Sharif, just the 2 overs for him. They weren't his 2 best, but surprised he hasn't been used again yet. Because Berrington's got that 6th bowler in, he's loads of options today. He doesn't have to necessarily turn back to Safin anytime soon, or he won't have to bowl Charlie Castle a full allocation of 10 overs. Hasn't been any rhythm or timing for the last few overs for these 2 batters. They're both very dynamic ball strikers. They can really get after things. I think Scotland have protected that shorter side a lot better than Nepal did in the first innings.
Yeah, they've done that really well. They just thought very carefully about which bowler is at which end, and also just where they've had their fielders and the bowlers bowling to those fields as well. But you do tend to think that they get their wickets by squeezing and trying to keep it tight and then hope the pressure builds enough.
So many messages coming in, Mel. I can't keep up with them. We'll try and read a few out though. KC Honey says, today is Dipendra Singh Irie's day, mark my word. And then of course Binayak Powdell rightly pointing out that Brandon McMullen of the Sudar Prashim Royals, who had a very good season for the Nepal Premier League final. Dropping his captain and his teammate from the Sudar Prashim Royals of the NPL. So one of those funny things you get with these franchise leagues, isn't it? A lot of these players don't just play against each other internationally, but then they'll play with each other. Suzanne KC saying the exact same thing. There's going to be Depender Singh Ari's day. Narayan Rijal is watching from Colorado in the United States. And he's wondering whether or not Nepal can pull this game off. Had some funny ones as well. You can't say anything on air, Mel, without somebody remembering it. And I do vaguely remember this now. Sabin Bhatt is watching on. He says, Takludai, was it not Gulshan Jha that you promised to sponsor a bat sticker for by his next tournament if he still went unsponsored after his heroics in the Nepal Premier League? I may have said that on air.
Well,
he does deserve a bat sponsor.
He does.
Could you think of a better brand ambassador than Gulshan Jha?
That's a pretty good one.
Bowls 140 clicks, hits a massive ball, fields pretty well, is a very well spoken and charismatic young man.
And I think that Lenny Limited should be his sponsor.
God, I might have to get the checkbook out. Could be in trouble here. Thanks for reminding me of that, Sabine. Really appreciate that.
I've got some messages suddenly flooding in, but I love this from Swan Puppers, who's watching from Montefiore, just on the road. His wife and brother.
Where's Montefiore?
It's literally it's the next village along, pretty much, from Broughty Ferry.
Well, come up. What are you doing? Why are you watching at home?
So his wife and her brother are in attendance, but someone had to look after the dogs. So he's there, and he's passing the information on to his wife because he's here because she can't see the board.
Okay, there we are. Love that. It's a family fair in Scottish cricket. 35 overs bowled. Time for the second drinks break. Nepal, well, really, they have it all to do. They're still in this game, but Charlie Castle's keeping things tight, as are most of the Scottish bowlers. Something's going to need to change in the final 15. It's 175 for 5. Welcome back. Final session. Gulshan Jah has just smoked one all the way for 6. What a welcome back. It's Michael Leask brought back into the attack. There's life in this game yet, Mel Farrell.
Always life in the game when Nepal are playing the Cardiac Kids. Well, they're not given that nickname for no reason. Don't go anywhere, no matter where you are watching in the world.
The game, it starts now, says Binod Pandey, who's travelled a long way to cover these matches. And Jah, the way he plays, well, you can't rule out something very strange happening, as it's getting a little bit gloomy here and very chilly altogether.
I might have to use my 5th layer, my emergency layer I've had ready.
Yeah, the benefit for Nepal in their situation, they probably have their 3 highest potentially striking batters either at the crease or to come. These 2 can score very quickly, and I just wonder, will Karen KC float up the order, up to number 8?
Yeah, there's a good argument for that, Lenny.
Oh, Jah's gone big, but he hasn't got enough of it. Now, this is a pressure catch for the debutant, and he does enough. Almost ends up catching it in his belly. Michael Leask, what a day he's having. A roar of delight from him. I think that might have winded Mackenzie Jones. He's barely caught it in his hands. He's caught it as much as anything in his guts. And he's been knocked down by the catch that he's taken. Richie Berrington and Michael Leask are going to go down to him. I think he might have a bit of a bruise from that. It wasn't the most elegant of catches, but it was effective enough to see the back of Gulshan Jah, who is caught in the deep for 11. It's 183 for 6.
Well, he had an awfully long time to think about that. The ball hung up in the breeze for an absolute age, and it was almost like he wanted to take it with his entire body, not let that ball drop. Look, here he is. He's got so long. Please let it stick. And it did in the end, right in the breadbasket. But he's had a wonderful first showing, cap number 700 for Scotland. What a day. And that does make things very interesting now because, well, for me, Gulshan Jah was the one who was going to make those big shots and have those big overs and get Nepal into striking distance. But they still have some big hitters out there, Lenny.
15 overs, it might feel like when you need 10 and over, you need to go at everything, but it's actually a lot of time to still kind of find a way, and having got 8 from 3 balls in the over already, maybe didn't need to look for another big one. It's not going to be Karen KC. Sampal Kami comes to the crease at number 8. Maybe just a good call to hold KC back a little further. Kami can maybe just bat for 5 or 6 overs. He'll get off the mark immediately with one hit down the ground. Yeah, by no means the most convincing catch, but Mackenzie Jones will say, look in the book, it's done, I took it. Not with a great technique, to be frank, but he did enough. As Dipender Singh Irene now has a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Did miss something, Mel, sorry, in amongst everything. When he got to 6, he has become the latest batter to 1,000 ODI runs for Nepal, so many congratulations. He's the 5th batter in history to do that for Nepal, and the 4th batter for Nepal to have 1,000 runs in both ODIs and T20Is. He would absolutely love to make that landmark today in a winning cause, but to do so, well, he probably is going to need to get 70 or 80 plus, isn't he? KC to come, but still 140 needed. It's a long way away. 14 overs to get there. It's exactly 10 and over required, and Nepal are left with it all to do. Scotland, they've been really good in basically all of the departments, barring those couple of drop catches that they put down. And can they apply the clamp hold and close things out? Good length from Castle. He's done that nicely today.
He has done it nicely. He's just kept things under control without necessarily having been able to come in and take the wickets. A few more shout-outs as well, because everyone's now watching as this game gets to what could be an exciting finish. Badesh is walking around with a speaker so that he doesn't miss a single ball. Angel watching on from Newcastle in Australia.
Powered into the air. Mid-on, Berrington up in the circles, so that's why Cammie's taking that on, taking the aggressive route. Will get 2, but won't get 3.
And I've got to say hello to Prasida as well from Milan, who has exams tomorrow, and he's got 2 friends, Basme and Saswat, watching in the ground, and he'd love to be here as well. It's amazing, just everywhere around the world, people watching from. Niraz is waiting for a flight in Vietnam.
Big swing and a miss. Yeah, great thing about ICC TV, available live and free all the way around the world. Great to have your company with us. Over 10 runs required per over. The task is getting very, very tall here now for Nepal. And I think with that dismissal of Jah, Scotland will just feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident. It is getting gloomy. There's no chance of rain, I don't think at all, but it's chilly, and Nepal are going to need something to warm them up here. You surprised with Cammie coming in ahead of KC, or is it too soon for KC?
Still, yeah, still, it's a bit like the Michael Leask argument or conundrum, isn't it? And when you're wanting to come on, as it turns out, Michael Leask came on at a terrific time in the previous innings. But they've still got to look a couple of. And you feel they're right back in it, but they do need a couple of really good overs soon.
Picked up, that's late. He's got a very good technique to Sampal Cammie. He's got the accomplished skills of somebody who could bat in the top order. And Castle probably not at that pace to bowl that length, because it's at that end. It's a 59 metre in theory, but in reality with the wind and the angle and the hill, it's about feels like a 50 metre one. Too easy. Nice hit from Cammie, all the way for 6.
They might have to get a new ball unless, oh no, Mark Watt has managed to find it. Gee, they've had some work to do. If you're watching from over in one of those houses, you might find a few balls floating around in your backyard a day after a game like this. You talk about those big overs, right? Well, if it got 8 off this over, not enough. Another boundary would help.
That will help pump down the ground. This game is by no means over. Remember, Nepal have the wild card, the X factor, the brilliance of Karen KC to come. The 2 at the crease aren't too bad either. Sampal Cammie and Dipender Singh Iree. Are we bubbling up for another classic here? 196 for 6.
Oh, Lenny, I feel we could be. That just becomes a very good over. 12 runs coming from it. So staying ahead of the run rate. It's those couple of overs where they get up to 16, 18 runs. If they can have a couple of those, all of a sudden it comes into focus. Now Leask. Can he be the man of the moment once more? Pumped for 6, first ball of his last over by Gulshan Jah. Got the wicket with the second ball. Really out of it for long.
Just under 10 and over required. It's not out of the question, is it? And these 3 overs feel kind of important as well. They can't afford a couple of tight overs. Got to keep the scoreboard moving. But it's so tricky, isn't it? Because Iree's going to want the second here. He's very quick, but sends Cammie back. You're kind of trying to score and accumulate runs at a swift rate whilst not being able to afford to lose any wickets. It's that horrible jeopardy.
Well, that run rate required has just fallen under 10 again. So that's the way they want to keep it heading south. And you can see now the rotation of strike, left hand, right hand. Can they keep? Oh, it's no longer left hand, right hand.
You had a great day up there.
Oh, look, I had. Up until that moment, sorry, I had a flashback to Gulshan Jar still
That's
being there.
okay.
And I realised it straight away, I would like to point out. But the point is rotating the strike and keeping it ticking over. But for Scotland, if Lees can just keep it tight, at the end of this over, it makes up for that 12-run over last time.
Goes in the air, round the corner, so nearly to Richie Berrington. It's that angle he loves bowl. Like, Lees quite likes bowling to right-handers. You think off-spinners don't, but he uses that round the wicket angle so cleverly. The tall enough man gets that bit of bounce, and well, Cammy just got in a horrible tangle. That could have gone anywhere.
It really could. Now, if he can keep it tight here, this last ball of the over, expect they might go for it.
Helped round the corner, over the head of Richie Berrington. Not really in full control, Irie. But the Nepal fans are roaring it on to the rope, and they will get a comfortable third. The 200 has come up in that over. 38 bowled, 203 for 6. You'll see here, I'm going to show a couple of graphics here. Nepal are actually ahead of where they need. But if you look at the Manhattan chart, the over by over, you'll see here, look at that flying, flourishing finish from Scotland in the darker blue. That's why Nepal still have it all to do.
And a huge part of that is Michael Lees just bowling that last over. And it's going to be Mark Watt returning now. We knew we'd see him again. Interesting, he's bringing Mark Watt back now and not saving him for the end. He might, will he save one over for the end? Or
I think he's just maybe trying to kill the game now. A couple of tight overs doesn't kill it, but a wicket certainly does. And again, the problem for Nepal, they can't just play out these 3 overs. They have to accumulate runs off them. It's a real challenge. Will Irie look for the big power hit into the leg side? Or is he just going to be happy to nudge it around? For the moment, he'll nudge it around. And he's so quick, he's somehow going to get 2. That's a 57, 58 metre boundary. And he's just dropped and run 2. And he hasn't even got it to the 30-yard circle. Incredible stuff.
That really is. So you would say for at least 90% of batting partners, I reckon, in international cricket, that would only have been 1. I honestly do. They are so quick. I'm not even sure if you can appreciate it watching on from home, but it is really impressive.
Won't be able to get 2 this. You surprised he's only bowled the 2 overs? Bowled really well most of the series thus far.
Yeah, he was a bit expensive in his first couple of overs. Uncharacteristically so, but again, he is often called on at the death. And so we might see his experience come in. He had to do a bit of mopping up almost after some of the younger bowlers were a bit expensive against the Netherlands the other day. He's got experience to turn to, Richie Berrington.
Beats the cut shot of Cammy. Every tight over here is going to really make things ever so more difficult. If you're wondering how cold it is, we've had hot water bottles brought to us again, badly needed at this juncture. It's gone really chilly. Berrington again is in action, and Depender Singh Irie will just run 2. It's great game awareness. And Cammy, they might think of a third. Just constantly puts you under pressure, doesn't he?
Well, and that's what he does. It's not just the fact he's running quickly, but he's always putting the fielders under pressure, and you see them making some uncharacteristic little errors, and that's just because they're so quick off the mark.
Even Mark Watt, who's played a lot of cricket up this neck of the woods, is struggling to keep any blood circulation in his hands. It's freezing cold all of a sudden again.
I've got the, thank goodness for this hot water bottle, and I've put on my 5th layer. I've got my jumper and my jacket bought from a Broughty Ferry charity shop.
It's not coming so much from the wind today, but just general chill in the air. He seems to be happy, doesn't he, just to work it round. Is that a sign that he thinks he can explode in the last 10? He's trying to take this innings a bit deeper.
It's a bit of a risk within itself, isn't it? Because Mark Watt still with as we just see that little fumble from Matt Cross that led to an extra run. So that run rate required up to 10.36. So we just look at where this is. Nepal, another win here. Boy, would that put them in pole position with all those games in hand. Scotland, another win, takes them level with Oman.
Just a quick word on the Netherlands. Where are they at with those, not just back-to-back defeats, but for the first time in this series, 3 consecutive defeats, if you include the drubbing they took on the final day last month in Utrecht?
I mean, they're at the right end of the table. They've also played more games than anyone else, so everyone's going to be playing catch-up now for the Netherlands. But yeah, it's unusual to see them sort of in that position, but it goes back to how this league just tests teams over such a long period of time. And over 2.5 years, you're going to have I guess a lot of times, you're going to have a run of games where maybe you're not at your best for a whole variety of reasons.
Still looked a bit out of sorts, haven't they? A couple of those defeats that I know they dominated much of the first innings, but once Scotland got over 250, ending up with 260 plus, you just felt like they were never really going to chase it without Scott Edwards. And in the game against Nepal that opened this series for them was, well, very one-sided, wasn't it? Indeed.
They just looked a bit lackluster or a bit out of sorts, whatever it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree with you. Here comes Brandon McMullen. He's going to return. One thing that these two will do is run everything, so probably not going to see too many dot balls, are we? And you do get a sense, don't you, that there's not a belief that Nepal can win this, but there's just kind of a growing belief that they might give it a crack. They're ahead of where Scotland were. I know they're 6 down, but don't rule out seeing something special here. That's all I'm saying.
You know I don't.
It's a big hit that's probably going to fall into no man's land. I don't think anyone's going to get there. They'll pick up a couple. A little bit of fortune for Sampal Khan. Difficult. Brandon McMullen always keep it out of that arc. That was a risky stroke.
Well, it was, because it had gone even a metre in any direction. There were 3 fielders who were all just about a metre short of where they might have needed to be to actually make an attempt at a catch. So Brandon McMullen, he does often come back well in his later spells.
Good delivery from McMullen this time. He's got this great knack. It's only because the keeper can come up to the stumps to him, of keeping the ball out of the driving arc. He's able to hit a good length. He's very controlled with his lengths, and his comeback spells have got better and better. He might have to bowl quite a bit in this 3rd power play here. This goes straight up. Is this one going to be held? Again, out of the driving arc. Somehow falls into no man's land again. Results in another couple.
Well, Charlie Tear, he did tear in. Like, he covered a huge amount of ground to try and get himself in to take that catch. Living a bit dangerously. They're just finding it really hard to put McMullen away. Again, look, that's right up there. It's not giving them much at all, just bowling good lengths and keeping it tight. And only two balls that have gone for 2 runs. Well, those balls could have ended up being caught.
You know, all it takes is 1 or 2 good overs like this when the opposition need 10 and over, plus to get that starting to spiral out of control. Good comeback this from McMullen. So it'll just be 6 from his return over, unless Iree can somehow run 2. Surely not. That was hit straight to Safi and Sharif. And Iree has taken the most regulation single and converted it into a double. It will be 7 from the over. It's 217 for 6.
What superb running between the wickets from this pair. That really was outstanding. That's a few times we've basically seen them turn 1s into 2s. Great stuff.
Where's Richie Berrington plotting his final 10 overs from? There's no doubt Watt will bowl 2 of them. Looks like he's going to bowl first one now. Where are the other 8 coming from?
Well, Brandon McMullen, you imagine, will keep going here, because even with the 2 coming off that last ball, it was still reasonably tight. It's still underneath the run rate. So we might see them continue for a while. Again, you see that fast running just inspires a little fumble from the skipper, and that is just because he knows how quick they are, and all of a sudden they're feeling that they've got to just pick up that ball so quickly and fire it in. You get the little fumble.
It's applying pressure. That's all it's doing. Now, will Cammy look to hit to the short side? Down the leg side, and it will be 2 wides.
How is that?
Might get 3 wides. Iree wants it, but Cammy sends him back. There's a little bit of chaos kicking in out there, and it's all being sparked by Depender Singh Iree. He's just so quick. There's even a smile on Mark Watt's face.
It's being done in a different way. It's not the pressure that's coming from the big bombs down the field and, you know, the big sixes. It's from this quick running between the wickets.
Swept around the corner. And I think that'll be swept for 4. Out towards us. No, Sharif does enough. They will think of a third. They're going to take it on. Big appeal, but gets safely home. Great running again. Excellent stuff. Depender Singh Iree getting a willing foil and an ally in Sampal Kami. You can't take your eyes off this.
Well, you can't. That was good cricket all around. Don't take your eyes from it. It's a terrific shot. It was wonderful fielding by Sharif in the end to cut off the boundary. A good throw in. Cross quick with his hands, but brilliant running between the wickets.
It was a good stop by Sharif, wasn't it? Looked like it was going to go for 4 at first. Big appeal here. Umpire immediately walks away. Depender Singh Iree runs through for a leg by. Action every ball now. You just cannot take your eyes off it. And Nepal officially need 100 to win. This was the run out. The dive got him home. Great decision from umpire Ghazi.
Really well done. Actually, I didn't realise got home with by some distance as well, thanks to that dive.
It's frenetic, isn't it? It's absolutely
It's got my heart rate going.
Well, they've already got 8 runs from 4 deliveries in this over and haven't hit a boundary yet.
It's amazing.
There's different ways to skin a cat, isn't there?
Yes.
Different ways to get the nearly 2 runs a ball they need. It's a little bit less. It's approaching 11 runs per over. Mark Watt just asking the square leg umpire how many to come. 2 is the correct answer. Bit of pressure being applied on the home side. Few demons there for them, of course. They'll know that Karen KC is to come. Again, Iree wants to. Surely not this time, no. One of the things I adore about them, Rowan Powdell does it really well too. I don't know what spikes they wear when they bat, because they almost slide in and out, glide as they turn for their second run, and it really kind of increases the speed. Bit of a whip into the leg side. Iree's going to want to. He's going to get it easy again to the short side. Fantastic running. 11 runs from what Nepal need. They're staying in the hunt in this chase. It's cardiac kids time. Get the defibrillators out. Game on. 2:28 for 6. Doubt there can be a more entertaining team in the world to watch than than these two, actually, let alone this one of Nepal. 45 off 32 they've put on. It's been an all-action partnership. Remember, Karen Casey is still to come. He's at number 9 with the broad shoulders. And Scotland, well, the question I just asked you as to who's going to bowl the last 10, there seems to be all sorts of discussions happening out there. They'll settle on Brandon McMullen to continue. There is a problem, though, at the death. Not maybe as graphic a problem that Nepal have at the death, but whether it's Charlie Castle or the debutante Mackenzie Jones, McMullen hasn't bowled much at the death. I know Mark Watt bowled. Whoever's bowling, you wouldn't think of them as death specialists, would you?
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't. No, I can see what he's trying to do in getting his economical bowlers in now. The problem is these two are just so quick. It's incredible how many runs they are scoring by running.
And what they've also done now, they've applied the lever of pressure to a point where really even those in the circle aren't saving a single. So they're not going to be able to bowl many dot balls. The only way you'll really get a dot ball is a play and miss, or maybe one back at the bowler. Every single man in the circle's right on the edge of it. Fantastic pressure from Nepal, and it's been applied in unison, really, equally by Dipender Singh Airi and Sampal Kami. What can they get off the last 5? Do they just keep batting like this for the moment? They haven't really looked for the boundaries in the last couple of overs.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. They are going to have to try and go bigger at some point. They are going to need boundaries to get there.
This has gone into the offside. Sharif has pressure put on him, but will keep it to a single. Does well there.
Yeah, at some point they're going to have to try and go for boundaries. It's got to come.
Charlie Tier has just asked for a third jumper. Let's put it on if you're wondering how chilly it is right there. He's got the long sleeve, the short sleeve, and the long sleeve over the top of it. All happening. Well, it is brewing up towards another classic finish. Scotland still very much favourites, even though Nepal are actually ahead of them in terms of the at this stage comparison, if you will. At the end of the 42nd over in the first innings. See, they're even running a single there. That's straight to the man in the circle.
Unbelievable.
And they still take the one. It's tip and run stuff. So yeah, at the end of the 42nd over, Scotland were 217. You know, Nepal are going to be well ahead of that. The problem was it was chaos in particularly the last 5 or 6 overs. From the 46th through to the 50th, every over was double digits. 15, 13, 13, 10, 10, 21. That's the last 6 overs. So the belief is starting to build. Nepal are well ahead of where Scotland were at this stage, but they're not going to be able to do it in 1s and 2s that they're getting at the moment. They're going to have to start finding some
running between the wickets, and they've picked up quite a few extra runs.
I think they're going to try for 2 here. It's perfectly weighted. Just get home so easy. This is a template of every cricket coach around the world. Clip the last 4 overs and show it to your young boys and girls.
Yes.
It's a great way to play cricket. It's a great way to watch cricket. They might not have enough to get home. They will need to find some boundaries, but they're definitely changing this game. End of the 42nd, 2:35 for 6. Really exciting game. All of a sudden we have in our hands from nowhere. 50 partnership comes up. It's come off just 38 deliveries, and both have just nudged it around. They've done no more.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's like you say, it's tip and run, but boy can they run. It's been lightning between the wickets, and okay, the big boundaries haven't come yet, and they're going to have to come if they're going to see this home, but they haven't wasted any balls.
They also they can start to take a few risks in terms of hitting to that shorter side. Again, 59, 58 metres, something like that, with a pretty strong breeze. You can just hear it. I've just come out of our little commentary thing. You can probably hear it through the microphone. What's that? 20, 25 kilometres per hour. Pretty strong. Get it up and into that wind, and you should be able to get good reward. Now Safian Sharif has lots of experience and he's got lots of protection on the leg side. Long on, deep mid-wicket and deep backward square is out. The only man in the circle will be a fine leg, the skipper himself, Berrington, who's going to stay up in the circle. Is this an over here for Nepal to target?
You think they have to. This is the one. Sharif was expensive in his first 2 overs, went for 15, but at this point in time, back into the attack. This could be crucial, this over.
Only 2 men in the deep on the offside. Deep backward point and long off is out. Where is Sharif going to target? Will he look full? Does look full. Tended to see that was what he tried to do to Karen Casey. He did it really well, didn't he? I think in overs 45 and 47. And then when it came to over 49, that was the crucial one. Casey got a low full toss, hit it over the clubhouse, and then the momentum just changed.
Yeah, that was the biggest 6 of the day. That one from Karen Casey. And he's bowling from a different end this time. Safian Sharif from that last game where he was bowling towards the end from the pavilion end.
This is interesting. Slight change in the field. Deep backward square comes into the circle and both deep backward point, deep cover point go out. They know that Irie loves to cut. So Irie will try to get it round the corner. Sharif thinks this was close. How far across did Irie come? Says there's bat involved. No interest at all from the umpire, was there?
None. So he did step across a long way. Yeah,
big piece of bat involved.
Smashed it, middled it.
What are Safian Sharif and Matthew Cross watching? Come on, guys. Good decision. Giving his runs rightly. Full toss. Hit into the offside. Hit away for 4. Don't rule out seeing something unbelievable for the second time in a week here in Nepal. The Cardiac Kids on the charge again.
Well, Sharif started off the over tightly, but on this occasion he just gave him enough room. He backed away as well, and the full toss, which is what we'd spoken about, where he erred in the previous loss.
Back live with you now, clipped into the leg side, should be just a single. Cammy's an incredibly capable batter, completely different to his great friend Karen Casey, who's a bit more agricultural and a bit more powerful, but Cammy is technically very correct. Like that shot there, right out of the textbook through the covers. And it was an interesting move. I think there would definitely have been a temptation to send Karen Casey in before Sampal Cammy, given Casey's hot streak of form in the series, but they still have him up their sleeve. It's still under 12 and over required. This is whipped into the... We're going to get it again. Scotland are being run in the field here. It's not through power hitting, it's just through placement. And the most remarkably exceptional piece of athleticism I've probably ever seen displayed running between the wickets. Incredible.
I don't think I've ever seen between the wickets this good. I genuinely mean that. It's been incredible to watch. They must have picked up at least 20 runs that they shouldn't have, or that you would not normally see taken.
Into the block hole, Sharif gets it right, but somehow, I don't know how, they're going to get 2 again. Direct hit might have made it interesting. It is taking some risks, it is pushing some envelopes, but Nepal are finding a way to get the 11 runs required per over that they need. It's 11 off that one. I think a direct hit would have been very close, actually would have been home. Yeah. Exceptional athleticism from Irie and Cammy. This is quite brilliant. 246 for 6.
Well, staying in touch with it, and they're doing so simply because they are so quick. It's like the pitch is only 18 yards long. We're back to
under 11s, are we? Back to under 11 days.
It really is, though. It just seems to have less distance to cover because they are so rapid.
Well, how is everyone feeling at home? What about you in Scotland? What about those in Edinburgh, Glasgow or Aberdeen? Are you feeling that Scotland are going to start to sense a bit of deja vu? Remember, the history of the game to the same opposition 6 days ago. And what about back in Nepal and around the world? What are you feeling? Who's ahead of the game? Where's it going to go? Here's Brandon McMullen whipped into the leg side. It's going to be another 2 going to Sampal Kami. He's played brilliantly. He's catching up with Dipendra Singh Airi. So wherever you are in the world, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what you're thinking. Use that hashtag CWCL2. Send us in a message. Are you in Kathmandu, in Janakpur, in Biratnagar, in Bir Gunj, in Nepal Gunj, wherever you are? Are you out in Sudar Pashim in the far west? Are you waiting for Karen KC to get in there? Where's this game going to go? Well, that's going to help. No, Cross does enough. He has flung himself to his left here. I think it's come off some part of Sampal Kami's body. Let's have a look at this here. Keep your eyes on Matthew Cross. Oh, it wasn't Cross. It's off the gloves or maybe the arm. Giving his leg buys. They're doing me no favours at all. Again, we've got a classic building up here, Mel. Nepal have never scored more than 300 in their ODI history. They've only done it once. That was against Oman. They've never scored a total this high. So 310 for 8 they made in the ACC Premier 2 years ago at their home ground at the TU. But the running between the wickets is causing the brains trust. Captain, vice-captain, and maybe the captain of the future, Mark Watt, very much saying, well, hold on, what's going on here? How are they back in this contest? We've dominated 80% of it.
It really is a conundrum, and now Berrington, he has to work out what he's going to do to make up the rest of these overs. He's almost got himself into a pickle because he's had to use Mark Watt. He's had to turn to Brandon McMullen, and what is he going to have left over? He's got a debutant, remember. He's got Charlie Castle, who's been unable to find a breakthrough today. Sharif Leask still has overs.
Still aren't hitting boundaries, so that's why Scotland shouldn't be panicking. This time it's McMullen who has to cut off the second. But the 250 is up, and Nepal, they're hanging about, and there's a big throng of Nepal fans across to the scoreboard here who are really starting to believe. They must be icy cold. I think they're seeing that they're on the screen. They're clapping the 252. Well, you'd hardly believe it. Nepal and their fans, the amazing colour that they bring, staying in this contest. Irie's going to want to here. He turns, he goes, he gets there comfortably. Charlie Tier does the fielding.
Charlie Tier is quick too. He must be one of the quickest in the Scotland side when he's running along the outfield. And even he can't prevent the second run. And it has been quite something. And this is, in its own way, as spectacular as the pyrotechnics from Karen Casey, this running between the wickets.
Into the slot, hammered high, handsome. That's all the way. An outstanding strike from Sampal Kami. They're starting.